For 28 years, Eamon Holmes and Ruth Langsford had seemed like the epitome of enduring love in the public eye. Their marriage, one of the longest-lasting in British television, was often held up as proof that a genuine, supportive partnership could survive the pressures of fame, work, and the constant gaze of millions. They appeared together on screen as if synchronized, their laughter and banter an effortless display of intimacy. Fans admired the warmth and camaraderie they projected, and many assumed that what was seen on television mirrored an equally strong bond behind the scenes. But appearances can be deceptive. What is visible is often only a fraction of the truth, and behind the smiles and witty remarks, there had been an undercurrent of struggle that few noticed and even fewer understood. The rumors began quietly, almost imperceptibly. It wasn't the dramatic, headline-grabbing type of scandal that usually dominates tabloid culture. Instead, it was a slow, creeping suspicion, whispered in the corridors of television studios and online forums, noticed only by the most attentive observers. Subtle changes in their dynamic became apparent over time. Eamon's usual humor occasionally felt forced, his smiles a fraction too tight, his laughter not quite reaching his eyes. Ruth's playful teasing became less frequent, and the easy rapport that had once defined them seemed to ebb and flow unpredictably. Observers attributed these changes to the natural evolution of a long-term relationship, the normal wear of decades spent together, but some insiders suspected something deeper, something more serious. The strain was compounded by Eamon's ongoing health struggles, which had subtly shifted the balance of their relationship. Chronic pain and mobility challenges brought not only physical discomfort, but emotional strain as well. Long-standing habits and roles were disrupted, and small annoyances that would once have been ignored began to accumulate. Ruth, ever the strong presence, started shouldering responsibilities in new ways, stepping into roles Eamon had previously managed effortlessly. This shift, though understandable, introduced an unspoken tension. The couple's public image remained polished, but private moments told a different story. A story of fatigue, compromise, and the quiet accumulation of disappointment that comes with unacknowledged stress. Over the years, Eamon and Ruth had built a life together full of shared milestones, family celebrations, career achievements, and public triumphs that required synchronization, understanding, and mutual support. Yet the pressures of constant visibility, alongside personal health and professional obligations, had created fissures beneath the surface. They both recognized the signs: irritation over trivial matters, avoidance of certain topics, the unspoken weight of unshed grievances, but acknowledging them aloud seemed impossible. Pride, love, and fear of public judgment had created a delicate equilibrium that maintained appearances while leaving reality unchecked. Then came the moment of confession. Eamon, after decades of navigating personal challenges and public expectations, spoke candidly about the rumors that had followed them for years. His tone was neither defensive nor bitter. Instead, it was reflective, measured, and tinged with the vulnerability that comes from confronting uncomfortable truths. For the first time, he confirmed what many had only speculated. The whispers were not entirely unfounded. The marriage, though loving and deeply committed, had faced serious challenges that could not be ignored indefinitely. It was a remarkable moment of honesty, a rare glimpse into the human side of public figures who are often perceived as invincible. The revelation resonated widely because it spoke to a universal truth. Even the most enduring relationships are not immune to change, fatigue, or conflict. Love, no matter how strong, cannot fully shield against the accumulation of unspoken tensions, physical decline, or the shifting expectations that life inevitably imposes. Eamon's admission was not a narrative of failure or betrayal, but rather a candid acknowledgement of the fragility inherent in even the most committed partnerships. It reminded the public that longevity does not guarantee stability, and that the maintenance of any long-term relationship requires constant negotiation, patience, and mutual adaptation. For Eamon personally, The admission represented both a burden lifted and an emotional reckoning. Facing the reality of marital strain, particularly in the context of personal health challenges, forced him to reevaluate not only the relationship, but also his own identity within it. It required the humility to accept that some outcomes are shaped by circumstances beyond one's control, and the courage to speak publicly about what had previously been concealed. The act of disclosure, while painful, also served as a testament to integrity and transparency, traits that had long defined his public persona. Ruth's response, though more private, was equally significant. By supporting Eamon in his candidness, she demonstrated a commitment to truth and mutual respect, even as it meant confronting the less flattering aspects of their partnership. Their willingness to face the reality of their relationship together, without resorting to blame or recrimination, highlighted the maturity and depth of their bond. It also offered a nuanced perspective on the complexities of long-term marriage, showing that love can endure alongside acknowledgement of imperfection, strain, and inevitable change. The impact of this revelation extended beyond the couple themselves. For fans, it was a sobering reminder that public personas often conceal private struggles, and that admiration does not exempt anyone from human vulnerabilities. For the media, it challenged the appetite for scandal-driven narratives, offering instead a story of honesty, resilience, and a nuanced reality of sustaining love over decades. And for Eamon and Ruth, it was both a release and a reckoning, a chance to confront truths long deferred and to navigate the future with clarity, authenticity, and mutual respect. Ultimately, the story of Eamon Holmes and Ruth Langsford after 28 years together is not merely one of challenge and confession. It is a story of enduring commitment, tempered by honesty and self-awareness. It illustrates the complex interplay between love, adversity, and personal growth, reminding us all that even relationships that seem perfect from the outside carry hidden dimensions of struggle and courage. And in acknowledging those dimensions openly, Eamon offered a lesson in dignity, vulnerability, and the enduring power of truth. The moment of truth did not just alter public perception, it reshaped the private reality of their lives. For decades, Eamon and Ruth had cultivated a narrative of stability and harmony, a carefully maintained image that reassured fans and colleagues alike. Behind that polished exterior, however, lay years of quiet compromises, small resentments, and unspoken frustrations. These were not explosive conflicts, but subtle erosions of intimacy that gradually widened a gap neither fully acknowledged. Eamon's confession brought these hidden tensions into sharp relief, forcing both the public and the couple themselves to confront the intricate, often painful truths that had long lurked beneath the surface. As the confession circulated, media outlets dissected every nuance. Commentators speculated about what had been true and what had been exaggerated, trying to piece together a narrative from glimpses of behavior captured in interviews, television appearances, and social media snapshots. For some, it was easy to reduce the story to cliches of midlife strain or marital drift, but those who knew the couple more intimately understood that the reality was far more layered. The challenges they faced were entwined with personal health, career pressures, family obligations, and the sheer longevity of shared experience. Decades of life together create bonds that are both unbreakable and fragile, demanding a delicate balance that can falter under the weight of accumulated stress. Eamon himself reflected on the years leading up to this revelation with a mixture of regret and clarity. He acknowledged the difficulty of reconciling his own limitations with the expectations of a partnership that had always been characterized by equality and mutual support. Chronic pain, mobility issues, and the psychological toll of aging had altered his ability to contribute in the ways he once did, creating subtle shifts in the relationship dynamic. Ruth, meanwhile, had adapted, taking on more responsibility and asserting her independence in ways that were necessary, but sometimes unspokenly painful. Their love remained, but it was accompanied by the heavy reality of evolving roles, unfulfilled expectations and the silent negotiation required to maintain a bond that had spanned nearly 3 decades. The public's reaction was a complex mix of sympathy, surprise, and intrigue. Many viewers expressed empathy for the couple, recognizing the pressures inherent in long-term commitment and the additional scrutiny of celebrity life. Others were captivated by the drama of it all, eager to understand how two seemingly inseparable individuals could find themselves confronting such profound challenges. Social media became a forum for debate, speculation, and reflection as fans shared their own experiences of enduring love and the difficulties that accompany it. Eamon's honesty had struck a chord, highlighting that even relationships admired for longevity are not immune to struggle. Behind the headlines, the couple began to navigate this new chapter with a cautious optimism. Admission, while difficult, offered a kind of liberation. By acknowledging the truth, Eamon and Ruth were no longer bound by the need to perform perfection. They could confront the issues that had quietly undermined their connection, discussing feelings that had long been suppressed. Counseling, open communication, and mutual reflection became essential tools in rebuilding understanding and reinforcing the bond that had carried them through years of shared experience. The process was neither linear nor easy, but it was marked by a renewed commitment to honesty and emotional transparency. The ripple effects of the confession also extended into their professional lives. On-screen chemistry, once taken for granted, required intentional cultivation. Public appearances, interviews, and joint projects now carried a different weight, as both partners were acutely aware of the nuances of their interactions. Every smile, gesture, and exchange was scrutinized anew, not for performance, but as evidence of a relationship in transition. Colleagues offered support, discreetly acknowledging the challenges of maintaining personal equilibrium in the spotlight. Friends and family, too, provided quiet counsel, recognizing the courage it took to speak openly about what had been hidden for so long. Eamon's reflection on the rumors and their truth revealed a profound understanding of human imperfection. He spoke not only of the strain on their marriage, but also of the resilience required to sustain a partnership under extraordinary circumstances. Love, he suggested, is not simply the absence of conflict. It is the willingness to confront discomfort, embrace vulnerability, and continue to invest in one another despite the difficulties. This insight resonated deeply, transforming a story that could have been merely sensational into a meditation on endurance, accountability, and the evolving nature of intimacy. The confession also ignited broader conversations about relationships in the public eye. Fans and commentators began to reconsider the assumptions placed on celebrities, recognizing that appearances can conceal as much as they reveal. Longevity does not equate to ease, and love does not guarantee immunity from strain. Eamon and Ruth's story, while uniquely their own, serve as a mirror for countless ordinary relationships, illustrating that challenges are inevitable, yet navigable with honesty and effort. It reminded audiences that sustaining connection over decades requires not only affection, but also communication, adaptation, and the courage to face uncomfortable truths. In the aftermath of the revelation, the narrative of Eamon Holmes and Ruth Langsford shifted from unblemished admiration to nuanced respect. Theirs became a story of perseverance in the face of adversity, a candid acknowledgement of human complexity, and a testament to the power of truth. While the rumors had caused pain and speculation, the admission allowed for a recalibration of understanding, both for the public and for the couple themselves. It was an acknowledgement that love, while resilient, must be nurtured and reassessed continually, and that transparency can transform vulnerability into strength. By the end of this chapter, it was clear that Eamon and Ruth's journey was far from over. The acknowledgement of the rumor's validity was not a conclusion, but a pivotal turning point, a chance to confront reality with clarity, rebuild with intention, and embrace the next stage of life together with honesty and mutual respect. Their story, once viewed through the lens of perfection, now resonated with the authenticity of imperfection, offering a rare and poignant insight into the complexities of enduring love under extraordinary circumstances. It was a reminder that even after decades together, relationships evolve, truths emerge, and courage lies in facing both openly, without fear or shame. With the initial shock of Eamon Holmes' confession behind them, the couple faced a new challenge, managing the fallout in a way that was both authentic and sustainable. For years, fans had idealized their marriage, assuming that two high-profile individuals could not possibly face the ordinary struggles that plague most relationships. The revelation, therefore, was not simply a personal admission. It became a public event, magnified by media scrutiny and social commentary. Headlines ran wild, social media buzzed with speculation, and every interview became a test of resilience. Yet, amid this intensity, the couple began to find a rare opportunity, the chance to reclaim control over their narrative and to define their relationship on their own terms. The complexity of their situation lay not only in the public's reaction, but also in the private emotional terrain they had to navigate. Decades of shared history, from professional triumphs to personal hardships, had created a tapestry of connection that was simultaneously fragile and unbreakable. Eamon, reflecting on this, admitted that the years of careful negotiation, compromise, and silent endurance had left them both exhausted. The rumors had become, paradoxically, a catalyst for honesty, an uncomfortable but necessary confrontation with the realities that had quietly accumulated over time. In acknowledging the truth, they were able to speak openly about what had been left unsaid, addressing subtle resentments, unexpressed fears, and unacknowledged needs that had been shaping their partnership in quiet, often unseen ways. The impact on their professional lives was immediate and tangible. Television appearances, once routine and familiar, now carried a weight of expectation. Every gesture, every exchange, was analyzed not just for entertainment value, but as a signal of the state of their marriage. Fans scrutinized body language, tone, and even wardrobe choices for hints about their private lives. This heightened attention was a double-edged sword. It amplified the pressure to maintain composure, yet it also highlighted the importance of authenticity in their public interactions. The couple had to learn to navigate a world in which personal vulnerability had become a spectacle, balancing honesty with the discretion necessary to preserve both privacy and dignity. Behind closed doors, Eamon and Ruth confronted the most intimate aspects of their bond. Conversations that had been deferred for years were now unavoidable. They spoke candidly about the toll of chronic health issues, the emotional weight of decades-long caregiving, and the subtle but persistent frustrations that can erode even the strongest connections. These discussions were not easy. Tears were shed, arguments sparked, and patience was tested. Yet the process of articulating these truths also brought clarity. They discovered that love, while not immune to strain, could be reinforced through honesty and intentional communication. Vulnerability, once feared as weakness, became a tool for rebuilding intimacy and trust. Socially, the confession had ramifications as well. Friends, colleagues, and extended family members were drawn into the narrative, offering support, advice, and, in some cases, judgment. The couple had to navigate these external pressures while remaining focused on their own path. They realized that managing perception was unavoidable but secondary to their primary goal, understanding one another and preserving a meaningful connection. In doing so, they exemplified the complex interplay between public expectation and private reality, demonstrating that love requires both internal resilience and external discretion. Perhaps the most poignant aspect of this chapter was the recognition that time itself shapes relationships in profound ways. 28 years is not just a measure of longevity. It is a series of evolving identities, shifting priorities, and continuous adaptation. Eamon and Ruth's marriage had weathered countless transitions, from career milestones to family changes, from personal triumphs to health challenges. Each stage required new negotiations, new compromises, and a renewed commitment to understanding one another. The acknowledgement of their struggles did not diminish the value of their shared history. Rather, it added depth and authenticity, reminding both themselves and their audience that enduring love is complex, layered, and sometimes imperfect. The public's reaction continued to evolve. Initially, curiosity and speculation dominated, but as more details emerged through interviews and candid reflections, a deeper empathy began to surface. Fans and commentators alike recognized that the story was not one of scandal, but of humanity. The couple's willingness to admit imperfection resonated widely, encouraging discussions about the realities of long-term commitment, the effects of aging, and the importance of emotional honesty. Eamon and Ruth had transformed what could have been a narrative of humiliation into a lesson in courage, resilience, and transparency. As the couple moved forward, the focus shifted from rumor to repair, from speculation to understanding. They prioritized counseling, reflective dialogue, and deliberate acts of care, rebuilding the emotional scaffolding that had supported their relationship for nearly 3 decades. The process was gradual, requiring patience and empathy, but it also offered moments of profound insight and renewed connection. By confronting the truth openly, Eamon and Ruth demonstrated that relationships are not static achievements but ongoing journeys, requiring adaptation, communication, and, above all, honesty. Ultimately, the revelation marked not an ending but a transition, a redefinition of what it means to love and sustain a partnership over decades. Eamon Holmes' admission of the rumor's truth became both a personal catharsis and a public lesson. That commitment is tested not by the absence of challenges, but by the willingness to face them together. In embracing vulnerability, the couple found a renewed sense of purpose, proving that even after nearly 30 years, love can evolve, endure, and emerge stronger through the courage to speak the truth. As the dust settled from the revelation, Eamon Holmes and Ruth Langsford entered a new chapter in their lives, one defined not by rumor or speculation, but by the deliberate work of understanding, healing, and adaptation. The public had glimpsed only a fraction of their struggle, yet the lessons emerging from their candidness resonated universally. Long-term love is not merely about time spent together, but about navigating the unspoken, confronting discomfort, and sustaining connection amid life's inevitable upheavals. The couple's journey offered a rare, unvarnished portrait of commitment under pressure, reminding audiences that authenticity often comes at a cost, but also at a profound emotional reward. The months following Eamon's admission were marked by a careful recalibration of priorities. Public appearances became less about performance and more about intentional engagement. Interviews were approached with thoughtfulness, allowing the couple to set boundaries while maintaining transparency. Fans, initially hungry for scandal, began to appreciate the honesty behind the story. Social media discussions shifted from gossip to empathy as audiences recognized the courage it took to acknowledge private struggles on such a public stage. The narrative of the couple's life transformed from one of hidden tension to a testament of perseverance and human vulnerability. Within the marriage, the work of rebuilding trust and intimacy required both patience and creativity. The couple engaged in extended, candid conversations about their past, their frustrations, and their hopes for the future. They explored ways to redistribute responsibilities, acknowledge each other's limitations, and celebrate the strengths that had carried them through nearly 3 decades together. These conversations were not always comfortable. Tears, disagreements, and moments of doubt surfaced repeatedly. Yet each confrontation was a step toward deeper understanding, illustrating the principle that long-term commitment thrives not in the absence of conflict, but in the courage to face it constructively. Health and aging, previously a source of strain, became a central focus of the couple's renewed connection. Eamon's chronic conditions necessitated adjustments, both practical and emotional, while Ruth's own evolving priorities demanded recognition. By approaching these realities openly, they were able to mitigate the subtle resentments that had once accumulated, creating space for compassion, patience, and mutual support. Their experiences underscored a powerful truth. Love is most resilient when it adapts to life's inevitable changes rather than resisting them. By embracing vulnerability, they discovered new forms of closeness, reinforcing the emotional scaffolding of their marriage. The broader public narrative also continued to evolve. Media outlets, initially captivated by scandal, began to highlight the couple's thoughtful engagement with their challenges. Profiles emphasized resilience, honesty, and the practical strategies employed to sustain a long-term partnership. Fans responded positively, sharing personal stories of their own relationships and reflecting on the universal difficulties of love over time. In this way, Eamon and Ruth's story transcended celebrity gossip, offering a meaningful dialogue on enduring commitment, the value of communication, and the human capacity for growth and adaptation. Equally significant were the insights the couple gained for themselves. Years of navigating unspoken tensions had taught them the importance of early intervention and proactive dialogue. They recognized that small grievances, if left unresolved, accumulate into barriers that erode intimacy. By addressing these issues directly, they were able to reestablish trust and emotional intimacy that had been compromised by the weight of history. Their approach highlighted a key principle. Longevity in relationships is not a passive achievement, but an active process requiring attention, care, and continuous negotiation. In addition to personal and relational growth, the couple's experience prompted reflection on the societal assumptions surrounding celebrity relationships. Long-term partnerships in the public eye are often idealized, their private challenges overlooked or dismissed. Eamon and Ruth's transparency challenged these narratives, demonstrating that even marriages admired for decades are not immune to strain, and that honesty is preferable to the maintenance of illusion. Their willingness to speak candidly about the complexities of love and commitment provided a powerful counter-narrative to the simplistic portrayals often found in media coverage of celebrity unions. Ultimately, the story of Eamon Holmes and Ruth Langsford after 28 years together is one of transformation. The public confession of long-standing struggles was not a moment of defeat, but an act of courage, paving the way for renewed understanding, deeper intimacy, and meaningful reflection. By embracing vulnerability, the couple illustrated the resilience required to sustain love through life's inevitable trials, offering a poignant reminder that honesty, empathy, and commitment are the cornerstones of enduring partnerships. As they moved forward, Eamon and Ruth focused on what had always mattered most: shared experience, mutual support, and the courage to face the future together. Their story, once defined by appearances and whispers, had evolved into a lesson in authenticity, resilience, and the enduring power of truth. In the end, the revelations, while difficult, had not diminished the bond they shared. They had strengthened it, transforming the challenges of the past into a foundation for a more honest, compassionate, and sustainable partnership. And for the public, this narrative offered not only a glimpse into the realities of life under the spotlight, but also a universal reflection on the enduring, sometimes fragile, but ultimately rewarding nature of love. Even as Eamon Holmes and Ruth Langsford navigated the immediate aftermath of their revelation, the personal and public reverberations of their confession continued to unfold. For decades, the couple had been emblematic of a stable, harmonious partnership, a standard against which many measured their own relationships. Their fans, accustomed to seeing them laugh together, share witty banter, and exude warmth on live television, were unprepared for the sudden acknowledgement of strain. Yet it was precisely this acknowledgement that transformed public curiosity into empathy and gossip into meaningful conversation about the challenges of enduring love. Behind the cameras, Eamon and Ruth faced an emotional landscape more complex than any audience could perceive. Decades of shared experience, parenting, career milestones, and navigating public scrutiny had created a dense, intricate bond. Yet the pressures of long-term commitment, magnified by fame and health struggles, had quietly introduced tension. The confession marked a turning point, forcing both partners to confront unspoken grievances and unmet emotional needs. Each discussion, each moment of honesty, became a building block for renewed intimacy, illustrating the principle that vulnerability, though uncomfortable, is essential for sustaining deep, meaningful connections. The couple's professional lives were inextricably linked to this personal narrative. Public appearances and joint projects required careful calibration, as every interaction became a lens through which audiences interpreted the state of their marriage. Smiles, laughter, and even silences were scrutinized, with fans and media alike seeking confirmation of speculation. Initially, this attention was overwhelming, amplifying the emotional weight of an already challenging situation. However, Eamon and Ruth gradually harnessed this visibility, using it as an opportunity to model openness, honesty, and resilience, demonstrating that personal struggles need not be hidden in the shadows. Within their private life, the couple embraced new routines designed to reinforce connection. They invested time in deliberate, meaningful interactions, emphasizing quality over quantity. Long walks, quiet conversations, and shared creative projects became tools for rebuilding trust and emotional intimacy. These efforts were not without difficulty. Moments of frustration and fatigue arose, and the weight of years-long, unspoken issues sometimes threatened progress. Yet the willingness to confront these challenges directly, without deflecting blame, allowed the couple to strengthen the foundation of their partnership in ways that were previously impossible. Health remained a critical factor in their journey. Eamon's chronic pain and mobility issues necessitated adjustments to daily life, prompting discussions about caregiving, personal independence, and emotional labor. Ruth, balancing her own professional commitments and personal needs, navigated the complexities of providing support while maintaining her autonomy. These negotiations, while delicate, underscored the couple's commitment to mutual respect and understanding. By addressing the practical and emotional implications of aging and health openly, they demonstrated a profound awareness of the interplay between physical well-being and relationship dynamics. The broader public, initially fixated on sensationalism, began to shift focus as more insights emerged. Fans and commentators highlighted the couple's courage, applauding their willingness to speak candidly about the realities of long-term love. Social media, which had been a forum for speculation, became a platform for dialogue and reflection, with followers sharing personal stories and expressing solidarity. The couple's experience resonated beyond the celebrity sphere, illustrating universal themes. Love is rarely static. Enduring commitment requires effort, and honesty is essential for navigating life's inevitable complexities. As they progressed, Eamon and Ruth also reflected on the lessons learned from decades of partnership. They acknowledged that relationships require continuous adaptation, that communication is vital for addressing evolving needs, and that vulnerability is not a weakness but a strength. The confession, difficult as it had been, catalyzed these realizations, allowing them to approach the future with renewed intentionality. They began to appreciate the resilience embedded in their bond, the capacity to confront pain, embrace imperfection, and rebuild trust even after years of unspoken tension. Furthermore, the couple's story offered broader cultural implications. In a society quick to idealize celebrity relationships, Eamon and Ruth challenged assumptions about perfection and durability. They highlighted that long-term love is complex, requiring negotiation, empathy, and acknowledgement of human imperfection. Their transparency encouraged audiences to reconsider the simplistic narratives often imposed on public figures, fostering a more nuanced understanding of relationship dynamics and the universal challenges inherent in sustaining connection over time. Ultimately, this chapter reinforced a central truth. Longevity in relationships does not preclude difficulty, but it does cultivate resilience. Eamon Holmes and Ruth Langsford's journey exemplifies the interplay of vulnerability, honesty, and mutual commitment in navigating the inevitable trials of partnership. By confronting the reality of their marriage openly, they not only reclaimed agency over their personal narrative, but also provided a compelling, instructive example for others navigating the complexities of love, aging, and shared life experience. Their story, once defined by appearances and speculation, now stands as a testament to the enduring power of truth, empathy, and the courage to confront life's most challenging moments together. Even as the media cycle continued, the couple focused on what mattered most: repairing, understanding, and sustaining the core of their relationship. Their experience became less about scandal and more about authenticity, demonstrating that love, though tested by adversity, can emerge stronger when anchored in honesty and mutual respect. The revelation that sparked public shock had evolved into an opportunity for growth, reflection, and deeper connection, a narrative that continues to unfold, offering lessons that transcend celebrity and touch the universal human experience. As Eamon Holmes and Ruth Langsford moved deeper into the aftermath of their revelation, they confronted not only the emotional consequences of honesty, but also the practical realities of sustaining a marriage under public scrutiny. What had begun as whispers and speculation had evolved into a profound examination of their partnership, a journey that forced both individuals to confront their vulnerabilities, reassess priorities, and engage in intentional acts of reconciliation. The challenges were immense, but within them lay the potential for transformation, growth, and renewed intimacy. The public, initially captivated by curiosity and gossip, began to shift toward a deeper appreciation of the couple's transparency. Interviews and media appearances became platforms not for sensationalism, but for reflection. Eamon and Ruth discussed openly the pressures of long-term commitment, the cumulative impact of health struggles, and the ways in which decades of shared experience could simultaneously strengthen and strain a relationship. Their honesty offered viewers a rare window into the realities of sustaining love over time, challenging the idealized portrayals often associated with celebrity unions. In acknowledging imperfection, they humanized themselves, transforming public fascination into genuine empathy. Within their private lives, the couple embarked on a process of rebuilding trust and intimacy that required patience, vulnerability, and deliberate effort. Years of deferred conversations and unspoken frustrations had created subtle barriers, which now demanded attention. Long, candid discussions became routine, exploring emotional needs, addressing misunderstandings, and reflecting on how past decisions had shaped their present reality. These dialogues were neither easy nor comfortable. Moments of frustration, doubt, and exhaustion were frequent. Yet each instance of honesty fortified their bond, illustrating a core principle of enduring partnerships. The willingness to confront difficult truths is essential for sustaining connection. Health and aging remain central to the recalibration of their relationship. Eamon's chronic conditions necessitated adaptations to daily routines, emotional support, and practical caregiving, while Ruth negotiated her own independence alongside her role as partner and caregiver. These adjustments highlighted the interdependence inherent in long-term commitment. Each partner must balance personal needs with the evolving requirements of the other. By addressing these dynamics openly, they fostered mutual respect, empathy, and a deeper understanding of the ways in which life's inevitable changes influence emotional and relational dynamics. The couple's professional interactions were similarly transformed. On-screen presence, previously a seamless performance, now demanded heightened awareness, intentionality, and authenticity. Audiences scrutinized every gesture, expression, and exchange for signs of strain or renewal. Rather than shying away from this attention, Eamon and Ruth embraced it as an opportunity to model emotional honesty and resilience. By demonstrating that commitment is tested not by the absence of challenges, but by the courage to confront them, they offered a powerful example for viewers navigating their own relationships, both ordinary and extraordinary. As time passed, the emotional landscape began to stabilize. Small victories, a heartfelt conversation, a moment of shared laughter, an act of mutual support, accumulated, gradually reinforcing the foundation of their bond. Each success, however modest, served as a reminder that long-term love is not static but dynamic, requiring continuous negotiation, patience, and deliberate investment. The acknowledgement of prior difficulties became a source of strength, transforming past pain into a vehicle for deeper understanding and renewed connection. Public reaction continued to evolve. Initial shock gave way to admiration for the couple's forthrightness, and social media conversations shifted from speculation to discussion of broader lessons about commitment, communication, and the realities of long-term relationships. Fans expressed empathy, shared personal experiences, and celebrated the couple's willingness to address difficult truths openly. Eamon and Ruth's narrative transcended celebrity gossip, evolving into a culturally resonant story about perseverance, integrity, and the complexities of human relationships. Perhaps most importantly, the couple discovered a renewed sense of agency over their own narrative. By confronting the truth directly, they reclaimed the power to define their story on their terms, free from the distortions of rumor or external expectation. This autonomy allowed them to focus on practical and emotional strategies for strengthening their partnership, reinforcing a cycle of honesty, understanding, and mutual support that had been interrupted by years of unspoken tension. Ultimately, Part 6 of this story illustrates a profound truth. Enduring love is not measured solely by duration or appearances, but by the willingness to face challenges head-on, embrace vulnerability, and continuously invest in a relationship. Eamon Holmes' admission that the rumors were true, rather than signaling an ending, marked a critical turning point, a chance for renewal, introspection, and the cultivation of a partnership capable of withstanding both internal and external pressures. The journey, while difficult and emotionally taxing, underscored the resilience, courage, and commitment required to sustain love across decades. As Eamon and Ruth looked toward the future, the focus shifted from surviving scandal to thriving in authenticity. Their story, once dominated by conjecture and whispers, had become a testament to the power of transparency, reflection, and intentional partnership. By acknowledging the challenges that had long been hidden, they illuminated a path not only for themselves, but for others navigating the complexities of love, aging, and shared life experience. In embracing the truth, they demonstrated that even after 28 years together, relationships can evolve, endure, and emerge stronger through honesty, empathy, and unwavering commitment. As the story of Eamon Holmes and Ruth Langsford reached its 7th chapter, the couple's journey evolved from revelation to resolution. The confessions, the public scrutiny, and the emotional reckoning had transformed not only the way audiences viewed their relationship, but also how they themselves understood its true depth. After 28 years together, the couple was no longer simply surviving the pressures of fame and life. They were actively reshaping their partnership, turning past struggles into lessons for the future. The first months following Eamon's admission were intense. Public curiosity, though gradually tempered by empathy, remained high. Fans dissected interviews, social media feeds buzzed with speculation, and commentators analyzed every gesture and word. Yet, amid this scrutiny, the couple found clarity. They recognized that their primary responsibility was not to manage public perception, but to nurture their own connection. With decades of shared experience as a foundation, they began to focus on intentional communication, emotional transparency, and mutual support, laying the groundwork for a more resilient partnership. Daily life became an exercise in deliberate care. Eamon and Ruth incorporated structured time for honest dialogue, moments of reflection, and shared activities that reminded them of why their bond had endured for nearly 3 decades. Small gestures, a hand held in a quiet moment, a shared laugh over a private joke, attentive listening during difficult conversations, acquired profound significance. These acts of care were not performative, but deliberate reinvestments in intimacy, illustrating that love requires conscious effort, especially after long periods of strain and challenge. Health considerations remained central. Eamon's chronic pain and mobility challenges required Ruth's understanding, patience, and flexibility, while Eamon, in turn, learned to appreciate her own needs and limitations. This reciprocity became a defining feature of their renewed partnership. By embracing vulnerability, acknowledging limitations, and supporting one another without judgment, they transformed potential points of tension into opportunities for connection. Their experience emphasized a universal truth. In long-term relationships, empathy and adaptation are as critical as affection and shared history. Publicly, their story evolved into one of inspiration rather than scandal. Media coverage shifted to highlight resilience, honesty, and emotional growth. Fans expressed admiration for the couple's courage in confronting difficult truths and navigating them with dignity. Social media conversations increasingly focused on lessons learned, with followers reflecting on the challenges of their own relationships and the importance of communication, patience, and mutual understanding. The narrative of Eamon and Ruth's marriage had moved from sensationalism to a broader cultural lesson, resonating with audiences across generations. Part of the healing process involved revisiting the past without blame. They reflected on moments of miscommunication, unspoken resentment, and unmet expectations, not to assign fault, but to understand how decades of life together shaped the present. These reflections, often emotional and challenging, provided a roadmap for avoiding future misunderstandings. By confronting their shared history honestly, the couple demonstrated that acknowledgement of imperfection strengthens, rather than weakens, a relationship. They showed that even after decades of partnership, there is room for growth, learning, and renewal. The couple also embraced the lessons their journey offered to the wider public. Longevity in a relationship does not guarantee perfection. Commitment requires effort, honesty, and emotional courage. By sharing their story, Eamon and Ruth illuminated the realities behind the idealized portrayals often seen in media. That love is complex, nuanced, and sometimes fraught with difficulty, but that these difficulties can be navigated successfully with empathy, communication, and shared intention. Their openness provided a rare, instructive model for anyone seeking to sustain a meaningful, enduring partnership. As the months progressed, the couple's bond deepened in ways that were not dependent on public validation. By facing the truth together, they rediscovered the intimacy that had always been the core of their relationship. Mutual understanding and shared reflection allowed them to move beyond previous frustrations, transforming challenges into opportunities for connection. The trust rebuilt during this period became a stabilizing force, ensuring that the marriage could withstand future trials with resilience and grace. Ultimately, the journey of Eamon Holmes and Ruth Langsford after 28 years together stands as a testament to the enduring power of honesty, empathy, and deliberate effort in sustaining love. The admission that the rumors were true, while painful, catalyzed a transformation that allowed the couple to confront reality, repair the emotional scaffolding of their relationship, and embrace a future marked by intentional intimacy and mutual respect. Their story illustrates that vulnerability, far from being a weakness, is a cornerstone of enduring connection, and that transparency, reflection, and courage can turn adversity into opportunity. In conclusion, the narrative arc of Eamon and Ruth's marriage offers lessons far beyond celebrity gossip. It highlights the complexities inherent in long-term relationships, the value of confronting difficulties openly, and the importance of adapting to life's inevitable challenges. By navigating this journey with grace, the couple redefined what it means to love, to endure, and to grow together. After 28 years, their story is no longer simply about rumor or revelation. It is about resilience, honesty, and the enduring, evolving nature of love.